shall we talk just a little bit about the Preparing for Parenthood program? Because Gena's facilitated a group and Leah hasn't. So so it might just be, and I know, Gena, you really, really like it.
I love it.
Yeah. Tell us why you love it.
Oh, look, it's just something that I wish that I'd done myself, I think is the main thing. Like, I look at it and I think, why isn't this a prerequisite to having children? Like, obviously you can't do that, but it just gives you enough to be prepared. Lots of people will say to me, I wasn't prepared, my relationship wasn't ready, ones that don't know about our group, and we're getting them in the postnatal phase, and it's like, I just wish I'd been told more, and I just wish I'd been more prepared. And I'm like, well, we have this course, and I wish, and it's great because you get that chance to have conversations that I don't think anyone has otherwise, and it prompts those thoughts, and it gives you more tools, I guess, for if this goes wrong, we've got this, we've actually already thought about it, and doing it with couples, just, I think it deepens that connection and ability to start thinking, because I think you, like I said, you don't know what you don't know, but if you've given those opportunities to question things that you might need to know, I think it's fantastic. And I just wish more parents would do it. And I just think there's a little bit of crossover with the Out of the Fog, but it's definitely aimed at before the baby is here, and that couple stuff is wonderful, because I think dads often, and I have a wee side passion for dads, because I feel like dads often don't know where they fit into the puzzle. When babies are born, it's breastfeeding, and it's mum, and it's baby and mum, and where did dad actually fit in this? So I think it's important.
I feel like I got it. Wasn't really like this, but I do feel like I had my baby to myself for 3 years. And then after that it was just like, then he was like a daddy's boy from then on. But I think and I mean, some people will say, oh, you just can't be prepared for that. Nothing prepares you for parenthood. But what would you say to that, Gena? I mean, in terms of like reflecting on actually what the content of the course?
I guess, no, nothing prepares you for the day-to-day. Nothing prepares you for the physical exhaustion and the demands. But if you can prepare your mind, I think you're getting a step ahead, and that's what I think the course is for, is preparing your mind, so that should you have an issue, you can go back to your coursework and go, actually, we talked about this, let's do this. And I've sort of pre-thought some stuff that otherwise you don't. You go to antenatal class and you learn about changing nappies, and you learn about birth plans, and you learn about feeding, and you learn about, to be fair, I never actually went to antenatal class, but this is what I hear that you learn in antenatal class, bathing babies, but you don't sort of think about what is the mental stuff that's going to happen. So I think that's having a step ahead is always better than going into things blind.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's just, like I remember one person in my group who they were having their second baby, expecting their second baby, and they said, oh man, I wish I had this for my first baby, because they were actually talking about things that they had never talked about. So it's not even just that, it prepares you. There are often conversations that you, as a couple, and we don't, put it, we're not, it's not exclusively for couples. It's just that we really feel that we need to have a group of single parents as opposed to a mixture of couples and single parents, because it doesn't really work. But so that's why we keep talking about couples. But but those conversations actually never happen. And they are those conversations of, what do I expect of myself? What do I expect of my partner? What does my partner expect of me? What do they expect of themselves? What expectation do I have around feeding? What expectation do I have around who's going to be getting up in the night,
Mm.
you know, just and all of these conversations. But it's also like, you know, again, like, what is a good mum, what is a good dad, what did I see, what were the role models I had, what do I, you know, are those expectations realistic? What am I going to do, or how am I going to feel if such and such happens? Oh, there's a gap between what my partner expects of me and what I expect of me, you know. So it's all these kind of like really and it's a massive psychological transition becoming a parent. And that's another thing you can't really prepare for, but having these conversations helps, because actually it doesn't really ever happen unless someone prompts you to have the conversation. So
Yeah.
so that couple is a prime example. They had a little 2-year-old, I think, and they'd never had those conversations ever. So it really does help you in that transition and in that massive psychological change, I think. Yeah.
But even, I haven't not done the program, but even working with mums that are pregnant, the conversation of what does it look like when you're wobbly? How do you know that you're not really coping or feeling
Yeah.
well? What are your
Yeah.
early warning signs? And then what do you do when you start feeling that way? I don't
Yeah.
know that that's like a huge component of the course, but just being mindful of your
Yeah.
well-being, you can
Yes.
start to just, I guess, be more present and aware of what that
Mm.
is. And then,
Yeah.
oh, that's wobbling. That's me starting to feel anxious, or that's me starting to have low mood. This is what helps me when I feel that way. Or this
Yeah.
is how I can be the strongest and most able to deal with that when my baby comes. So when I have depleted resources or a lack of ability to put myself first, I still know a little bit of what might be helpful in that
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's, you know, that's the reason why we have crossover. Like, you'll see some things from Out of the Fog in the Preparing for Parenthood course, because
Mm,
it's not just about the psychological preparation. It's also about how do I keep myself well going into a
mhm,
challenging situation where it's harder to get my needs met. And what can I do about that? And also, you know, the Out of the Fog program originally, the topics, I guess, that we focus on were specifically designed to help reduce, you know, based on research that helps reduce anxiety and depression. And the Preparing for Parenthood course incorporates some of those, because research shows that there are protective qualities to some things, some of these practical things that you can do, such as exercise. And we talk about exercise and diet and preparing for parenthood. And some of those things are protective towards depression and anxiety. But we also talk about signs of perinatal depression and anxiety,
Mm.
because it's not talked about often in antenatal
mhm.
classes. And so, where can you go for help? What does it feel like? What does it look like? Who's more at risk of developing it? That kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of conversations I have with women when we talk about relationships and is that going back to your comments, what's the content and the questions around expectations. And a lot of the time people will say, look, I'm just so let down by my partner, or my husband's just not doing what I thought
Mm,
he'd do. And I say, did you have you had that conversation about what you thought he would do? And most people will
mm.
say, well, no, I just thought that he would know what to do.
Yeah,
And I'm like, yeah, but they're not mind readers. And I mean, you didn't know what you didn't know, but that's why these conversations need to happen. So go back and have that conversation now. It's not too late.
yeah,
But if you're
yeah.
having those before the baby comes, at least you're kind of hoping that you're on the same page. So
Yeah, I mean, man, when I'm doing counselling, one of the biggest things that we talk about is identifying how I feel and asking myself, what do I need?
mm,
And then communicating that. Because actually, all of those things are often extremely hard for us as women.
yeah,
Um, well, not just women, men as well, anybody not to be binary about it either, but just anybody finds that really difficult to identify, what do I feel, what do I need, and then to have the courage to ask for it. So those things are really hard and so important to work on.